Oh, so you finally get it? Check out who finally got the job done. See who stopped waiting for help? That was never going to happen. Who knew that certain trips were never designed to have other people with them or see them? Never meant for someone to hold your hand when you were on fire. You went in by yourself, right? And now they're all watching, shaking and perplexed, asking the same thing. Who are you? Let me tell you what you are. You were the one who no longer needed permission papers from the cosmos. The person who saw the mountain that everyone thought was impossible to climb alone and started trekking anyhow. You heard them say that you can't accomplish this on your own. And you grinned because you knew something they didn't. You understood that certain crowns aren't granted. They are taken. And the only hand that could put it on your head was your own. They saw you depart the park. Forget about the safety of numbers. Pick being alone above being fake. They did laugh, right? They gambled on how quickly you'd come back crawling and how soon you'd give up because of how ambitious you were. They wrote speeches about working together, being part of a community, and how pride can be dangerous. But you didn't come back. And that stillness, that lack of sound, started to sound louder than their teasing ever could. It wasn't only a choice to go alone. It was a declaration of war against everything they taught you about how to stay alive. They stated that being together makes you stronger. But you found it when you were alone. They claimed you need connections to be successful, yet you made it work by being alone. They stated that no one can do it alone. But you were there. Not only getting by, but doing so well that their group work looked like a bad episode of The Universe. That big cosmic count and keeping track of who deserved what had to admit what you had become. But let's be honest about what it truly meant to go it alone. It meant eating your meals in quiet while they enjoyed their meals. It meant celebrating your accomplishments with your reflection since no one else knew what you had done. It meant hiding your shortcomings like wounds since there was no one to assist you heal them. It meant being your own therapist, your own cheerleader, and your own army of one. Going into wars that no one else could witness. You learned how to understand your own craziness without help from others, how to push yourself without needing acclaim, and how to prove that you were genuine without anybody else signing off on it. Yes, you were important. Yes, you were doing something very special. And in that lonely lab, something inside you began to change. Not alone anymore, but free. Not being alone, but being protected from the poison of their own limits. There was always a night when you didn't have anyone to call. You learned how to speak your own language. Every party you went to by yourself taught you how to be independent. Every time you solved an issue without talking to a committee or getting everyone to agree, you changed another piece of your DNA into something that didn't look like you. You weren't the only one walking. You were growing past the need for someone to walk with you. You were changing into something that didn't need outside approval to exist. The route became darker, right? There were times when you doubted everything. It felt like shouting when the stillness got so loud. You watched the people who stayed in groups and thought about whether or not you had made a mistake. But then you recalled why you went. The way they attempted to clip your wings and call it love, the way they stifled your modest goals and constricted your vision. So you kept heading deeper into the woods where they couldn't reach you. And this is when things started to change. Where the narrative stopped being sad and started being happy. Because even though you were alone, you weren't empty. You were giving yourself what they could never offer you. You were getting the facts direct from experience without any filters. You were talking to your potential. They would have thought it was crazy to make bargains with your future self. They would have said it was impossible if they weren't there. You found presence not theirs but your own. And it was amazing in ways you couldn't have imagined while you were drowning in their cacophony. They couldn't hear the frequencies because they were too busy chatting over them. You started to see patterns that they couldn't perceive since they were too focused on each other for approval. They were addicted to comfortable falsehoods, so you started to sense facts they couldn't manage. You turned into your own ecosystem, one that could survive and thrive on its own. You learned how to make your own energy instead of using theirs to get things moving. Instead of waiting for them to urge you to trust your own judgment and not require a jury to agree with your choices. And at some point in that process, that lovely and scary mix of being alone, you ceased being human the way they saw it. You changed into something different. More than that. Something that can't be put into words. You became the odd one out in their statistics, the exception to their rules, and the flaw in their matrix that showed the system was never as strong as they said it was. You showed them that their method wasn't the only way. Its reality wasn't the sole truth, and its limits didn't apply to everyone. Then it occurred. That moment when the universe had to pay attention to you. Your voyage alone held so much weight that reality itself had to bend around you. Your own strength was so strong that even the powers of the universe had to give in. They had to crown you since you had already taken the throne and wouldn't move. The crown didn't come down from heaven with singing angels. It sprang from your scars, hardened from your tears, and was made in the heat of every moment. You kept going when it would have been easy to stop. It was fashioned from the bones of the people you used to beautify. The lessons learnt in isolation were like pearls, and they waited with the confidence that comes from first conquering yourself and then the world. And now they perceive the invisible crown that moves the air. They can feel it when you walk into a room. They know that when you talk, the power shifts. That type of power that doesn't require a label or proof to be genuine. You don't walk with arrogance anymore, you walk with confidence. You talk differently now, not out of desperation but out of choice. You are distinct. Not begging for room anymore but taking it. Those who made fun of you for leaving alone are now picking apart your accomplishment. They're attempting to figure out how you accomplished it. Looking for a secret formula. A hidden teacher. A stroke of luck. That never happened. But there wasn't a secret, was there? It was only you and your firm rejection to require them. You alone may make the choice to become your own world. Only you. And that scary, magnificent option to put all on yourself and win. I'll tell you what actually happened in a way that they won't comprehend, but you'll know right away. When you went solo, you took all the possible outcomes and made them into one true outcome. You stopped spreading your energy over other people's dreams and put all of it into your own. You stopped giving up your power by making communal decisions and instead focused it into pure individual will. You turned into a laser instead of a light bulb. Lasers can cut through things that light bulbs can only light up. They never taught you that. The arithmetic of group dynamics is easy. Power divided equals power lessened. They sold you the lie that working together makes you stronger and that being together makes you more powerful. But they never said what is lost in translation, how much energy is spent when people agree, how much potential dies when people negotiate, or how much truth is lost for the sake of consensus. You learned the underlying mechanics of pure potential when you went alone. You realized that one person who is completely sure of themselves is stronger than 1,000 who are not. You became antimatter to their matter, which meant that you and they were in the same space but were subject to completely different rules. While they waited for permission, you created it from inside while they looked for it. You composed your own while they looked for the right people. You made them out of nothing. As they tried to get in, you were the network itself. You didn't merely breach their rules. You showed that their restrictions weren't necessary. And it was the most hazardous thing you could have done. Your lone trip became a new way to live. One that doesn't need its infrastructure to work. You made your own roads, bridges, doors, and most crucially your own keys. You became architecturally free, structurally free, and free to exist. And the cosmos, the ultimate engineer of efficiency, knew that you would become a closed-loop system that makes more energy than it uses. But this is what really bothers them about your crown. You didn't do it all by yourself. It's because you liked it better. You found it alone. What link? It never made things clear. What did you learn about yourself when you were alone? Society never gave you the real thing. You found something when you were alone. That their unity could never attain truth. You saw what they couldn't. That most ties are hidden contracts. Most partnerships are silent deals. Most groups are just cults with good advertising. You witnessed through the performance of belonging, the theater of friendship, and the carnival of social dynamics. You stepped off the stage instead of continuing the show. You stopped trying out for parts in their shows and started creating your own screenplay. One where you play the main character, the bad guy, and all the other characters. You didn't merely learn how to be alone in isolation. You learned how to be complete. When you understood you were never split in the first place, you stopped looking for your other half. You stopped trying to get others to finish things for you when you realized you were already whole. Just convinced otherwise by those that make money off of what you think you lack. You no longer needed witnesses to prove that you were real since you were proof. The quiet taught you languages they'll never use. The gloom brought forth the light. They'll never see how full you are of things they can't even conceive. You didn't just get used to being alone. You changed into something that does well under situations that would shatter them. You become the top predator of solitude, the ruler of places they are too scared to go. You are the creator of your own inner cosmos, and you make technologies of yourself that other brains can't understand. Internal systems that can find their way without help from the outside. Emotional processors that work without needing proof. Spiritual engines that get their strength from pure will. You turned into your own internet, getting information from places you couldn't see. You become your own satellite, getting signals from futures that they can't even imagine. While they were building networks, you were upgrading your source code and they were updating their social media. While others got followers, you created neuronal circuits. You took the pieces of your power that were spread out and put them back together in a way that no one has ever seen before. You weren't just becoming bigger. You were changing. You weren't just changing. You were changing into a whole different kind of person. You can't teach the tools you made by yourself in their workshops. The institutions that taught you the skills you learned on your own can't certify them. Their systems can't measure the power you built up when you were alone. You work on frequencies that they can't pick up and use technology that they can't understand. Get to resources they don't even know about. In a world full with digital technology, you grew better at technology by turning analog. Your trip alone was a huge upload of data. A straight signal from the source that was clear and free of their noise or anxiety. You got the truth straight from the source, not through whispers, textbooks, or other people's opinions. You got the raw, unfiltered facts of life itself. It arrived without any disclaimers, without any distortion, and without the fingerprints of anybody else's beliefs. You got beyond the people who control what others think and got to the source code of reality without their anxieties, writing your own laws and establishing your own range. You opened up possibilities that go beyond what their math can handle. You got results that shouldn't be possible based on their old, stale rules of logic and conformance. In a universe of calculators working on infinite dimensions of reality, you become a quantum computer. They are still trying to figure out the essentials of who they are, but you stopped asking for input and started making output while they begged for permission to start. You were already recreating life line by line. And here's the cosmic irony. The best joke in the universe has a punchline. They became reliant on you as soon as you stopped demanding their approval. They started to want your attention. As soon as you showed them that you could live without them, they understood that they couldn't live without you. You became the center of gravity. They can't get away from the magnetic north. Even when they say they don't, their muddled compasses keep pointing toward. Your independence was an oddity in their dependent society, the strongest force in a culture that craves weakness. They circle around you, not knowing why you are the stillness. They can't ignore how quiet it makes them feel since it reminds them of all they don't have. Now they get together in groups, their little committees of conformity, to speak about you. The person who went. The one who did it all by themselves. The person who broke the implicit rule that no one can ascend without the group. They speak about how you did it, making up stories to shield their weak egos. Some of the stories they tell are factual, but most are made up. They are trying hard to make sense of something they can't understand. They need to think there's a secret, a trick, or a loophole. If there isn't, then your presence shows that they were never confined by the world. They were only trapped by their own desire for approval. You were the bug that showed their system isn't flawless. The one thing that made all of their calculations fall apart. They are studying you now. Your motions, your quiet times, and your habits. Looking for anything to replicate. They look at what you say like it's a holy book and your decisions like they're case studies, hoping to figure out how to do something that can't be done again. But they never get it. This wasn't a way. It was a change. You didn't follow the steps. You broke up the stairs. You didn't go up. You changed. The person who went into isolation is not the same person who came out of it. You didn't learn how to do well on your own. You become the type of person that can only thrive when they are free. Your solo crown has a pull that their group badges could never match. It doesn't attract because it's hungry, it just is. It doesn't pull through want. It gives off an air of inevitability. It doesn't change things by tricking people, it shows them how to do it. It doesn't lead by getting people to follow it. Instead, it leads by being so sure of the truth that others can't help but be drawn to it. You turned into the leader who doesn't lead, the teacher who doesn't teach, and the master who has no students. Your whole being became an unspoken, strong, and irrefutable lesson. You don't walk to show other people the way, you walk because that's just who you are. Still, those who are still stuck in imitation follow anyhow, unable to resist the pull of someone who no longer wants to be seen. The cosmos didn't crown you to rule over others, but to rise above them. Not because you defeated others, but because you beat the need for others. Not because you beat them at their game, but because you flipped the board and invented a new one. Not because you reached the top of their mountain, but because you saw that their mountains were really molehills and then created your own peak from the things they said were impossible. Now you sit on a throne they can't see and wear a crown. They can't rule a realm that is outside of their coordinates. Your kingdom doesn't have any borders because it isn't in the real world. It is an empire of frequency, vibration, and willpower. They can't invade since they don't even know where it is. But let's not dress this up in poetry without admitting that it has blood on it. That crown cost a lot of money. The bill from the universe was real. It was rigorous, cruel, and paid in full. You paid for every relationship that fell apart because you changed. You paid for every friendship that faded away because you no longer fit into the common fantasy. You paid for every bridge that burned behind you when you refused to go back to being tiny. You paid for every door that closed when you were too big to fit through it. You paid for every tear shed for folks who adored the old you, the person who died so that the actual one may live. You paid in evenings that were so quiet. They seemed like endless evenings when the air itself appeared to echo your doubts back to you. You paid in grief so deep that it was like coming back to life. You paid in times of sorrow, when the time appeared to stretch thin beneath the weight of your own being. You paid in loneliness so deep that it stripped away all the fake parts of you until only the real parts were left. You paid in total solitude. It may have made someone else crazy, but for you it turned into medication. It cleaned the wound. It got rid of the noise. It burned everything up. That wasn't genuine until just the core that couldn't be broken was left. And what did you purchase with that money of pain? Freedom, unconditional, non-negotiable, untouchable power, a raw, self-sustaining source, and peace that doesn't depend on anybody else. Not the lack of turmoil but the capacity to be calm in the middle of it. You got your soul back from the pawn shop of approbation, where you had surrendered it for a sense of belonging. You took back your thoughts from the group that used to decide how much you were worth. You took back your future from the people who were trying to make you mediocre by hiring out your potential. You didn't just get your life back. You purchased back the right to live. Now you walk as both a warning and an inspiration to those who like to stay comfortable. You are proof that to develop, you need to go through hard times. You are also proof that being whole starts with being alone. For those who are afraid of being alone, you are proof that being alone is not abandonment but a way to rise. You become the example of what may happen when a person quits trying to fit in with everyone else and instead tries to go beyond it. You didn't merely gain your freedom, you were freedom itself. You took back your future from the group that had been investing in your limitations. The hidden web of doubts, expectations, and inherited concerns that silently benefited off your hesitancy. 4 years they put money into your uncertainty, charging you interest on your self-doubt and seeing your potential as an asset. They may be in charge. But one day you checked the system. You recognized how much of your future had been given to someone else, so you took back all of your investments to get back your time, attention, and imagination. You took back your life from the stockholders of your doubt. But the crown wasn't the only thing you got. It was the head that had become smart enough to merit it, the spine strong enough to bear it, and the heart brave enough to deal with what came with it. You didn't simply win. You changed. You didn't merely beat the odds. You changed them. You didn't merely get out of the game. You went beyond the whole casino. You turned the table over and made a new one where you were both the dealer and the fate. You changed, therefore the game altered. You stopped playing for money and started playing for the truth. You didn't just do well. You destroyed the idea of success and gave it a new meaning in your own words. Success was no longer about getting praise, approval, or things. It became about alignment, or making sure that who you are and what you do are the same thing. You didn't make it. You turned into it. You were so much like the destination that the universe had to recognize your might. It would have been wrong to refuse you, to reject its own stories of causality and consequence. You worked hard, went through fire, and made choices to become who you are. You were the answer to the question. Vision plus perseverance plus faith beyond reason equals reality changed. You're not using the same operating system anymore, however some people are still using the factory settings. Fear, conformity, and the need for permission are built into our programming. You have breached the law of life itself. You broke into reality. You've taken away the uncertainty from broken files. Deleted spyware that looked like social pressure and replaced it with a whole new interface that was full of self-reliance, intuition, and mastery. You run on an internal operating system that doesn't need anything from the outside world. You use reasoning that isn't computational but alchemical to change suffering into insight, loss into leverage, and solitude into power at speeds people can't understand. You have moved up from emotional dependence to emotional engineering. You don't have to wait for ideas anymore. You make it. You don't ask for help anymore. You send it. You don't chase after opportunities anymore. You make it. Every cell in your body now functions on an energy signature that doesn't allow for mediocrity. Your brain doesn't take in information anymore. It sends forth new ideas. You no longer require validation, which frees up bandwidth for growth. You are no longer affected by frequency. They see you as the frequency right now. It seems like seeing technology from the future. Something that looks like something else yet works in a completely different way. They know the human shell, but the code behind it is all new. You know how to talk to them, but the meanings of your words have changed in ways that their dictionary can't explain. You wander in their world, yet the laws of physics guide your steps. They still don't get it. You are in the same dimension, yet you work on distinct frequencies. They don't want to install you because it would mean they had to face the fact that they are no longer useful. You are proof that evolution isn't only about biology, it's also about the mind, soul, and energy. Your trip alone didn't merely transform you. It showed them that change is the most basic rule of the cosmos and something they had forgotten. You showed that personality isn't set in stone. That identity isn't a jail. That potential is not limited. You proved that people aren't limited by what they were trained to be. You showed that one fully activated person may be more powerful than a whole group that is just half active. You showed that the system was never broken. It was only a choice. You chose not to resist and instead came up with new ideas. You didn't tear down the old building. You made it useless. Your crown isn't built of gems or gold right now. It's built of code that has been changed and a new version of reality. It's made up of all the times you chose honesty over ease. Your own gut feeling, not what others tell you, and what you know deep down, not what you learned from others. Each stone in that crown stands for a risk that paid off, a boundary that held strong, or a choice that seemed crazy until it became clear. Brilliant. Every scar turned into a diamond. Every tear turned into metal. Every failure was turned into sovereignty by melting it down and reshaping it. They can hear it now. The echo of the empire you constructed in quiet. It resonates under your words, hums in your gestures, and emanates through your presence. Every word you say is heavy with the weight of someone who has been both a leader and a soldier. Every option you make shows how well you can plan on your own. Every deed has the strength of someone who fought wars in secret and won them without any praise. You don't just exist. You have examples to follow. You got there before anyone else in the world ever thought it was possible. You are proof that there are better versions of being human, that awareness can improve itself, and that identity can be changed. You are the first example of what happens when evolution is planned. Your one crown made you a walking revolution and a living rebellion against every false story about what it takes to be successful. You become the thing that makes excuses useless. You are proof that what they claimed couldn't be done is possible. You thrive without followers, create without needing to be seen, and lead without needing to be seen. The fact that you are here makes things need to be redefined. It undermines their foundations because it breaks down the concept that excellence has to be shared. But your strength isn't loud or showy. It's calm, solid, and certain. You don't need to pursue recognition anymore since your outcomes speak for themselves. You don't talk to persuade. You talk to make things clear. You don't have to relocate to prove. You move. Because that's how you are. You are not a leader who wants allegiance. You are a force that gives direction. The cosmos didn't give you that crown. You earned it piece by piece, moment by moment. It was made stronger by being alone, weaker by failure, polished by hard work, and made holy by truth. You didn't get it from your parents. You turned into it. And now, every breath you take changes the possibilities. You are no longer a part of reality. You are the one who built it. You don't live in this world. The world is currently unfolding around you. Your tale is no longer about living or doing well. It's about independence. You don't wear the crown to seem powerful. You wear it because you are powerful, pure, hidden, and irrefutable. You are evidence that one person can alter the code of existence itself when they are fully awake. You are the proof that their ideas are wrong, the exception that breaks their rules, and the strange thing that brings down their whole belief system. Just being alive makes their assumptions wrong. It's proof that their truths were never true for everyone, only useful. You are always a reminder that their way is not the only one, and not even the best one. You are the proof that the universe doesn't reward those who fit in. Every time you don't back down, it shows courage. When you strolled alone, the world didn't just blend in, it noticed and started to move around you. Now, when you go into a room, reality changes in little ways around you. It's not because you want to be in charge or get attention. It's because you've become an organizing principle. The axis that energy lines up along. You don't need to say you're coming anymore since your appearance does that for you. You don't take up space. You are claimed by space. You don't give orders. Respect. Respect is something that happens while you're around. You've crossed the line from being human to being a force that embodies unavoidable pity. Even nature bends in recognition. Your empire has no boundaries, flags, or real land. But everyone knows when they've crossed into it. It's in the way the air feels. When you walk, the frequency changes. When you talk, the possibility changes. And when you act, the change happens. You don't dominate by force. You rule by example. You lead without leading, govern without ruling, and strive to influence without trying to influence, since you become the influence itself. Your power doesn't come from being in charge. It's all about calibrating. You change reality by being real in it. You're not just wearing a crown. You're the crown. You've become the best example of what occurs when someone quits requiring other people. You are the entire expression of what people could be if they stopped looking for approval and started making truth. You've converted being alone into being powerful, being alone into being creative, and being quiet into being a symphony. You have shown that one individual in perfect alignment can shift worlds without lifting a finger. So, we get to what seems like the finish, but it's really the start. You went in alone and came out as a king. You went in alone and came out as everything you were when you first arrived. The cosmos didn't crown you because it was nice. It made you king because it had no other choice. It recognized authority when it saw it, when it felt it, and when it came across it. And you were all three of them. You become so true to yourself that life had to bow down. What are you? You are the solution to every question they were too scared to ask. They said you were the answer to every problem that couldn't be solved alone. They couldn't see the future because they were too busy looking sideways for approval instead of forward to change. You are what occurs when creation and consciousness meet and don't say sorry for it. You are not merely the crown, you are the crown itself. The ritual and the crowning. You are the throne, the power, and the divine permission that makes sovereignty real. You are both the writer and the reader. The narrative and the person who tells it. The sound and the quiet. You are the living contradiction. The infinity inside one person. The whole universe. Conscious of itself via you. For generations they will study you and attempt to figure out how you got to where you are. Scholars will hypothesize, philosophers will conjecture, and mystics will romanticize. They'll produce a lot of books and manifestos, each one trying to explain how you achieved it and how you went beyond what they thought was fixed. They will try to get the same outcomes as you and follow your route, but they will fail every time. Your journey wasn't a road, it was a wave. It was only there when you stepped on it, emerging under your feet and disappearing behind you. It was a one-time use gateway that only opened when you vibrated at the right frequency. You can't pass down, borrow, or copy your crown. It's a one-of-a-kind. Made in the fire of being alone and chilled in the calm of being in charge. The cosmos didn't give it to you. It gave it up. You were so undeniably strong in your seclusion that rejecting you would have broken the most basic rules of reality. You become so heavy that even light had to bend around you. You made so much actual stuff in your own head that reality itself had to admit that you were the one who made it. You didn't simply go alone, you became alone. You made the idea real and the archetype real. In a world that was addicted to copying, you were the only one, the only method, and the only truth. You are no longer just a part of the cosmos. You are now a part of the cosmos. Welcome to your land, people. You are a world that doesn't exist on maps, but in the structure of energy that comes from your discipline, your sorrow, and your vision. Welcome to your throne, which is made out of the bones of who you used to be. Every doubt, every insecurity, and every fake identity that had to die so that your actual self could come to life. Welcome to your crown. Not a sign of might, but of divine perfection. It was made in the fires of being alone, shaped in the storms of finding out who you are, and cooled in the seas of being able to take care of yourself. It has the weight of knowledge, the sheen of survival, and the power of being real. The universe didn't just give you a crown. It gave into you. It gave up, recognized your win, and signed the surrender. Documents in the dark and in the stars. That's it for today. Dear God, I hope that my faith will develop. Even when there isn't any physical proof, help me believe you. Let me believe that you are always there. Knowing that you will never hurt me. I know that you want me to have a nice future and not hurt me. Thanks. A kind and everlasting Father who always hears my voice. In the name of Jesus, I pray this prayer for you. Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for your love and help. I appreciate you being in my life and the wealth you provide. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel if it spoke to you. Share it with those who need to hear this message. Please tell us about your experience and how you are getting ready for your own victorious homecoming in the comments below. Please think about giving to buy me a coffee if you want to help us out. This helps us make our material better all the time so we can provide you the best. The description has a link to buy me a coffee. Any gift is okay. Your kindness, whether it's a penny, a prayer, or a share, helps spread God's word and gives people hope. Don't stop now. Watch our next video to learn more about the indicators that show you are the chosen one. We have appreciated going on this spiritual journey with you. Thanks for staying with us to the finish. Keep shining brightly and face your fate with strength. Next time, see you. From the awakened knowledge, blessings to all the wonderful individuals.